Do you know the strangest thing about respect? The more you run after it, the harder it is to get it. It sounds paradoxical, but try looking back at your life. How many times have you tried to explain yourself so others can understand you better, only to end up being overlooked? How many times have you tried to be kind, patient, and understanding, only to be treated with disdain? And how many times have you wondered why there are people who don't raise their voices, aren't aggressive, but make others think very carefully before touching them? The answer lies in something that most people learn too late. That's the moment you stop trying to control how others see you and start controlling how you react to them. Most of us grow up with a belief that is beautiful, but not entirely true. That if I'm good enough to people, people will be good enough in return. If you are kind enough, sincere enough, and tolerant enough, others will respect you. It's a beautiful idea. But life doesn't always work like a children's book. In fact, there are people who see kindness and appreciate it. But there are also people who see kindness and see it as an opportunity. This is something a lot of people don't want to admit. Some people don't check how good you are. They test how far they can go with you. They don't ask if you're nice. They watch to see if you dare to defend your boundaries. And if they realize that you always give in, always explain, always give more chances, they will continue to push the envelope further. The funny thing is that when that happens, many people think they need to become even better. They think they need to be more patient. They think they need to be more sympathetic. They think they need to explain more clearly. As a result, they resemble someone trying to put out a fire with gasoline without realizing the problem. One of the most important lessons of psychology is that people learn from what they are given. If a behavior is consistently accepted, that behavior will be repeated. If someone continually disrespects you without any consequences, their brain will understand that it's allowed. It's not because they hate you, not because they are bad people, simply because that's what works. Imagine you have a colleague who constantly interrupts you in meetings. The first time you missed it, the second time you skip it. The 10th time you still ignore it. Then you're surprised when they keep doing it. But from their perspective, they are just repeating a behavior that has never been stopped. That's why the most respected people are often not the most aggressive. They are the most obvious. They don't scream. They are not threatening. They don't create drama. They just make people understand that there are limits that cannot be overcome. Stoics understand this very well. They don't try to control others. They control the access that others have to their lives. This is a huge difference. Many people spend years trying to change others. They try to make others behave better. Try to make others understand you better. Try to make others respect you more. But the Stoic knows that it is a battle with almost no end in sight. Instead, they focus on what is within their control. They decide what is allowed into their lives and what is not. That's why when someone disrespects them, their reaction is usually very calm, not because they are weak, but because they don't need to prove their strength. Insecure people often feel the need to win every argument. They must have the last sentence. They have to prove they are right. But the truly strong understand that not every battle is worth fighting. Sometimes the most powerful way to respond to disrespect is to refuse to give it attention. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself that a person's value is not determined by the opinions of others. If you think about it, this is an extremely liberating idea, because so many people live as if they have to ask permission from the world to feel valuable. They need consent. They need to be recognized. They need to be liked. And it is that need that makes them more susceptible to manipulation than anything else. The moment you begin to understand your worth does not depend on the approval of others, something interesting will happen. You stop being afraid of disappointing someone. You stop explaining too much. You stop trying to save every relationship at all costs. And that's usually when people start treating you differently. In fact, a very small change can make a huge difference. Stop asking, "How can I get others to respect me?" And start asking, "Am I respecting myself?" It sounds simple, but this is where things change. Because so many people are asking others to do things they themselves don't do. They want others to respect their time, but constantly sacrifice time for things they don't want to do. They want others to value their feelings, but constantly ignore what they themselves are feeling. They want others to treat them fairly, but accept things they know are unfair. People observe more than we think. They don't just listen to what you say, they observe what you allow. If you constantly say you deserve respect, but repeatedly accept disrespect, the message others receive will be completely different from what you intend to convey. They will believe your actions more than your words. That's why people who make others think twice before confronting them often share a common quality. They're consistent. If something's wrong, they say it. If someone crosses a line, they address it right away. They don't wait until the 20th time to explode. They don't accumulate resentment, like accumulating reward points only to explode one day over seemingly minor things. They understand that an unpleasant conversation today is often far more pleasant than years of silent suffering. Interestingly, when you start setting boundaries, not everyone likes it. Some will say you've changed. Some will say you've become colder. Some might even think you're selfish. But remember one crucial thing. The people who benefit from your lack of boundaries are often the very people who most strongly oppose them. It's like someone who always comes into your house without knocking suddenly getting angry when you decide to lock the door. The problem isn't that the door is wrong. The problem is that they no longer enjoy their former privileges. Stoic people don't seek respect by instilling fear. They seek peace by living true to their values. And strangely enough, when you're no longer so obsessed with being liked, you're often more respected. When you're no longer afraid of displeasing everyone, your words carry more weight. When you're no longer trying to please everyone, your decisions become clearer. It's not magic, it's human psychology. Ultimately, what makes others stop looking down on you isn't learning to be louder, not learning to win every argument, nor is it becoming the most intimidating person in the room. It's learning to stand firm without needing the approval of others. Because when a person understands their own worth, they don't need to prove it every day. And it is that calmness that often makes those who like to challenge the limits of others think twice. Therefore, perhaps the most important lesson isn't how to stop others from making things difficult for you, but whether you've stopped making things difficult for yourself by giving too much control over your self-worth to others.